Tyler was known for his charismatic personality and charming demeanor. At 32 years old, with tousled hair and piercing eyes, he attracted attention wherever he went. His laid-back appearance and easy smile hid a complicated family history that made him avoid serious commitments and festive dates. From a young age, Tyler distanced himself from family celebrations. The memories of the tumultuous Christmases of his childhood still haunted him. He preferred to spend the holidays in bars or at parties with friends, seeking superficial fun to fill the emptiness he felt. William had been his best friend and co-worker for years. The two would always go out together on every festive occasion, enjoying the single life without getting attached to anything or anyone. But things were changing. That week, the office was buzzing with the anticipation of Christmas. People were talking about trips, dinners, and family reunions. Tyler, on the other hand, already had something in mind, another night out with William. 2 days before Christmas Eve, he approached his friend with enthusiasm at the end of another workday. "Hey, Will, you won't believe it. I found a new bar that's going to be the hit of Christmas night. Amazing place, live music, and of course lots of beautiful women. We have to go, buddy," Tyler said excitedly, patting his friend on the shoulder. William smiled, but his smile was different this time. There was a hint of embarrassment in his eyes. "Man, it sounds awesome, but... Remember that girl I told you about, Rachel? Things have gotten serious between us." Tyler frowned, still not fully processing. "Serious? Like how serious?" "Like, I'm going to spend Christmas with her family this year. She invited me and I thought it was the right time, you know? You can't say no." Tyler's shock was evident. Will, his loyal partner for so many parties and escapades, was trading all of that for a family Christmas. He tried to hide his disappointment with a nervous laugh. "Oh, I see. So you're going to tie the knot, is that it?" he teased, half joking, half resentful. William laughed, trying to ease the situation. "It's not like that, man. But life changes, you know. Maybe one day you'll understand." Still incredulous, Tyler shrugged and pretended not to care. After saying goodbye, he tried to repeat the invitation to other friends, sending messages and even stopping by some desks at the office. However, the response was always the same. Everyone already had commitments, dinners with family, romantic dates, or planned trips. For the first time, Tyler realized that while he remained stagnant in his lifestyle, the people around him were moving on. What once seemed like a fun and free choice was now beginning to weigh as inevitable loneliness. On the last workday before the holiday, the office was filled with a festive atmosphere. Twinkling lights shone around the windows, and a subtle aroma of gingerbread cookies brought in by a colleague mingled with the usual smell of coffee. Laughter echoed down the hallways, accompanied by the muffled sound of Christmas songs someone insisted on playing on the break room radio. Tyler's colleagues were excited, exchanging cards and warm hugs as they gathered their things to start their celebrations. Some carried packages wrapped in vibrant paper, gifts for secret friends or family. In contrast, Tyler remained at his desk, his gaze lost on the computer screen, absent-mindedly fiddling with a pen. He pretended to be busy, even though there were no more pending tasks to resolve. The truth was, he was in no hurry to leave. He had no parties to attend, nor anyone waiting for him. Your phone rang, interrupting the hum of your thoughts. Seeing your mother's name on the screen, you sighed. It wasn't the first time that week she had called. He knew what was coming. "Hello, Mom," he answered, trying to sound more cheerful than he felt. "Tyler, dear, I know you're busy, but I hope you're still considering my offer. The dinner will be wonderful, and everyone would love to see you. It's been so long," she insisted, her voice laden with expectation. Tyler squeezed his eyes shut, a pang of guilt mixing with discomfort. He didn't want to disappoint her, but the idea of facing painful memories and the complicated family dynamics held him back. "Thanks for the invitation, Mum, but I already have plans. It's going to be exciting," he lied, trying to sound convincing. On the other end of the line, there was a brief but significant pause. "All right, dear. I just want you to know there's always a place for you at the table," she replied with a tenderness that only intensified the emptiness inside him. When he hung up the phone, Tyler looked up and noticed that the office was almost empty, except for him and Alice, who was still silently working at her desk in the finance department. Alice was a discreet figure, almost invisible in the hectic day-to-day of the office. Her long brown hair was, as usual, pulled back in a simple bun, with a few strands gently escaping to frame her face. The thin-framed glasses rested on her delicate nose, and her sober clothing, usually in neutral shades and classic cuts, reinforced the impression of a practical and reserved person. Among the more irreverent colleagues, Alice was nicknamed Cat Lady. The nickname, though laden with cruel stereotypes, reflected the superficial perception they had of her, a solitary, eccentric woman who probably lived surrounded by cats in an apartment full of books and silence. Tyler, like many there, had never bothered to find out if it was true. Alice always seemed to be immersed in numbers and reports, oblivious to the whispers. She was rarely invited to happy hours or group lunches, an exclusion she seemed to accept without any display of discomfort. Her introspective nature was often interpreted as coldness or antisocial behavior. As she passed by Tyler's desk, Alice paused for a moment, holding some papers in one hand. Her smile was shy but genuine, and her calm tone of voice broke the silence of the empty office. "I didn't even realize anyone was still around. You're really dedicated. Just don't work too hard, or you might end up being late for Christmas dinner." Tyler looked up from his screen, a bit surprised by her approach. He let out an awkward laugh and shook his head. "Well, actually, I don't have any plans for the holiday." Alice slightly arched her eyebrows in surprise. She hesitated for a moment before responding, as if she was considering whether she should continue. "Well, I don't have anyone to spend Christmas with either. I'm going to prepare dinner at home, just something simple. If you want, you're invited, at least to have something to eat." Tyler was speechless for a moment. The idea of spending Christmas with the office cat lady wasn't exactly what he imagined as a lively evening. He opened his mouth to politely decline, but something in Alice's gaze disarmed him. There was no pity or neediness in that invitation, just genuine kindness, an attempt to offer companionship to someone as lonely as she was. "Well, why not? It might be nice to eat something other than frozen food." Tyler smiled, still unsure, as Alice nodded, visibly pleased with the response. A few hours later, Tyler arrived at Alice's apartment. To his surprise, he was greeted by an excited Labrador dog, and not by dozens of cats as everyone imagined. "This is Max," Alice introduced the dog affectionately. "He loves visitors." Tyler couldn't help but laugh at the irony that she actually had a dog instead of cats. The apartment was cozy and well decorated, with a pleasant aroma of cinnamon and pine in the air. Tyler noticed a beautiful painting on the living room wall, a serene landscape of mountains and a lake. "I painted it a few years ago," Alice said, noticing his interest. "It's really beautiful," praised Tyler, admiring the details. Alice invited him to help himself at the small bar in the room while she finished dinner. Tyler chose a red wine and settled on the soft sofa, feeling strangely at ease. "I don't know what the tradition is in your family. Do you wait until midnight to eat?" asked Alice from the kitchen. "My family didn't have any specific tradition. We can eat right now if that's okay with you," replied Tyler. They sat at the table, which Alice had meticulously set. There was roasted turkey, potatoes, vegetables, and a pie that exuded a delicious aroma. Tyler was surprised by the care she took in preparing everything. During dinner, as the scent of roasted turkey and spices wafted through the air, Alice looked at Tyler with curiosity and kindness. Her voice was calm. "Tyler, may I ask you something? You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but why are you alone on Christmas?" He hesitated, his eyes fixed on the wine glass in front of him, swirling it between his fingers. The atmosphere was cozy, almost magical, and there was something about Alice's welcoming gaze that disarmed his usual defenses. "My family is complicated," he began, his voice low and measured, as if he were unearthing memories he preferred to forget. When I was a child, my parents lived on a roller coaster of fights and reconciliations. Every holiday, especially Christmas, ended up being a battlefield. The smallest detail, like the turkey being dry or someone forgetting to buy a gift, turned into a major argument. For me, Christmas was never that harmonious time people talk about. He paused, his expression distant, and Alice remained silent, encouraging him to continue. "But there was one Christmas," he resumed now with a slightly choked voice, "when everything seemed different. My parents were calm, almost kind to each other. I remember my older sister even joked that it was a Christmas miracle. They laughed, talked without arguing, and for the first time in years, it seemed like we were a normal family." Tyler lowered his gaze, gripping the glass tighter. "At the end of that night, when we were all gathered in the living room, they called us for a conversation. I thought it was to announce some special plan, something that would justify that unexpected truce. But what they said was that they were going to separate." He let out a short, bitter laugh, almost as an attempt to relieve the weight of the memory. "It was a shock. I spent the night staring at the twinkling lights of the Christmas tree, trying to understand how something that seemed so peaceful and happy had been just a farewell in disguise. After years apart, my parents ended up getting back together. It seemed like they had found a balance, but the feeling of instability never went away. Since then, they always invite me to spend the holidays with them. But deep down, I think I have fear. What if, in the middle of an apparently calm dinner, they start arguing again? Or worse, what if at the end of the night they announce once again that they are going to separate? It's as if a part of me is always waiting for the worst to happen. That's why I prefer to keep my distance, you know? It's easier to deal with the loneliness I already know than to open up to something that might end up hurting me again." He took a deep breath. "Maybe it's cowardice, but that's how I've been dealing with it. I avoid getting close so as not to risk losing everything again." Alice listened attentively, her gaze filled with empathy as Tyler shared his story. When he finished, a brief silence settled in. Tyler felt the weight of the honesty he had just shared, but in a mix of curiosity and vulnerability, he asked hesitantly, "And you, Alice? Why didn't you have any plans for Christmas?" Alice gently set down her fork, as if the gesture helped her gather the words she needed to say. Her brown eyes softened, but there was a shadow there, the mark of an old and deep pain. "Well, my parents have already passed away. They were both wonderful people, but they left too soon. And to be honest, my marriage, it didn't survive the death of our 3-year-old son." The impact of her words was immediate. Tyler, completely caught off guard, almost choked on his food. He dropped his fork onto the plate, the sound echoing in the silent room. His eyes widened as he looked at Alice, trying to reconcile her discreet and tranquil image with the immense suffering she carried. I'm sorry, Alice. I had no idea." His voice faltered, laden with a mix of regret and embarrassment for never having truly noticed her. Alice, however, smiled gently, a smile that spoke of acceptance and strength. "It's okay, Tyler. Thank you. It's been a few years. I still miss him every day, of course. The longing never completely disappears. But the most intense pain has passed." She took a deep breath, her eyes briefly wandering to the painting on the wall. "Unfortunately, grief was something my ex-husband and I couldn't face together. We lost our son, and over time, we lost each other too." Tyler shifted uncomfortably in the chair, feeling as if his own fears and traumas, which he always considered so big, diminished in the face of Alice's deep pain. "You are very strong, Alice," murmured Tyler, feeling disarmed by her calmness and honesty. Alice looked up and shrugged slightly, the smile on her lips now softer. "Strength isn't always a choice. Sometimes it's just the only option we have." "Can I give you some advice, Tyler?" Alice asked gently. Don't let the fear of the future steal the moments you can enjoy in the present with your family. Living stuck in the past robs us of precious time. Alice's words touched Tyler deeply. The rest of the dinner proceeded in a light and fun manner. They discovered they had a lot in common, from musical tastes to favourite movies. Tyler was surprised to realise how time flew by in her company. Around midnight, Tyler remarked, "Alice, I had a great time tonight. I never imagined you had so many funny stories." Alice laughed. Who would have thought that the cat lady was a lead singer in a rock band in college, right? Tyler blushed, embarrassed that she knew about the nickname. But Alice didn't seem offended, just amused by the situation. Suddenly, Tyler had an idea. "Alice, you were right about not wasting time on past fears. Would you accompany me to my parents' house? They don't live far from here. Maybe we can still catch dessert." Alice agreed, happy to help Tyler reconnect with his family. Arriving at Tyler's parents' house, they were greeted with surprise and joy. Tyler's mother, a grey-haired lady with a warm smile, couldn't hide her emotion at seeing her son. "Tyler, what a wonderful surprise!" she exclaimed, hugging him tightly. Tyler's father, a man with a serious appearance but a kind gaze, smiled upon seeing his son. "I'm glad you came, son." Tyler introduced Alice as a friend, and she was warmly welcomed by the family. The room was decorated with Christmas lights, and the aroma of cinnamon and hot chocolate filled the air. Tyler's family was visibly happy with his unexpected presence. His siblings, already married and with children, played with the kids around the Christmas tree. Tyler felt a pang of regret for having missed so many moments like this in recent years. As they savoured the dessert, a delicious pecan pie, Tyler observed the scene around him. His mother laughed at a joke from his father. His nephews and nieces ran joyfully through the room, and Alice chatted animatedly with his sister-in-law. He realised that the fear that had kept him away for so long was unfounded. Here was the family he had avoided so much, united and happy. In the months that followed, Tyler and Alice grew closer and closer. He discovered in her an understanding friend and a fun companion. Alice, in turn, found in Tyler someone who made her laugh and encouraged her to come out of her shell. Gradually, the feelings between them began to change. Tyler, who had always avoided serious relationships, found himself completely in love with the woman who was once labelled as the weird one in the office. At Christmas the following year, Tyler and Alice were celebrating together at his family's house. The atmosphere was festive, filled with laughter and lively conversations. Tyler watched Alice interacting with his family, feeling a happiness he hadn't experienced in a long time. In a moment of calm, Tyler asked for everyone's attention. With his heart racing, he knelt before Alice, taking a small box out of his pocket. "Alice, you taught me that the past does not need to define our future. With you, I learned to value each moment and to open my heart again. You make me want to be a better person every day. Will you marry me?" With tears in her eyes, Alice gave an emotional yes. Tyler's family applauded and celebrated, moved by the moment. As he embraced Alice, Tyler whispered, "Christmas is now not a date to remember with fear of the past, but with hope for the future." They kissed, sealing not only their love but also the promise of a future full of joy. Tyler finally understood that the true Christmas spirit was not in the decorations or presents, but in the ability to forgive, start anew, and love. That night, while everyone celebrated the engagement and the union of the family, Tyler looked at Alice with gratitude. She was not only the woman he loved, but also the person who helped him rediscover the value of family and the magic of Christmas. And so, what began as an unexpected meeting between two lonely hearts turned into a beautiful story of love, healing, and rebirth. Tyler and Alice proved that sometimes the best Christmas gifts don't come wrapped, but in the form of second chances and new beginnings. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 5 to show how much you liked it. Also, watch the video that is now appearing on your screen. See you soon.